Hi, it's BTEC Applied Science for AAQ again. In my last video was an introduction to DNA, and in this video I'm going to talk more about it and particularly to do with the structure and more about nucleotides and what they are. Yes, so let's do it. Now, nucleic acids. They are essential biomolecules that store and transmit genetic information. And there's two types of nucleic acids. There's DNA and there's RNA. So the deoxyribonucleic acid and then just the ribonucleic acid, RNA, DNA and RNA. And these are polymers and they're made of repeating units called nucleotides. So the nucleotides are the base units, the units that DNA and RNA are built of. And the DNA contains the genetic blueprint, or if you like, the recipe for an organism. Because what it is lots and lots and lots of recipes for all the different proteins that make up the organism and that the organism needs to live. Okay? While the RNA is involved in protein synthesis, yes, in actually making these proteins. So DNA and RNA made up of nucleotides. Now, nucleotides, if you look at the diagram, you've got the complicated chemistry looking diagram, and then you've got the one that we will use, simple to understand. Looks a little bit like ATP, doesn't it? So you've got a single phosphate group, you've got a pentose sugar, and then you've got a nitrogen containing base. So a base which contains nitrogen. And a nucleotide is the basic building block of DNA and RNA, made of three parts: a phosphase group, a 5-carbon sugar. Now in DNA it's deoxyribose, and in RNA it's just ribose. And then a nitrogen containing base. I'll cover this in a minute. There's two types. There's purines and pyrimidines. Talk about that in a little bit. And these molecules link together in a condensation reaction. We know what that is, don't we? And they form long chains, and that stores and transmits genetic information. Okay? Nucleotides also perform some other roles in the body, important roles to do with energy storage as well, for example. Now, this is a polynucleotide, and it's a biopolymer composed of long chains of nucleotides, which are the building blocks of DNA and RNA. So just one on its own there would be RNA, and then two of them where the bases are linked together in pairs. So DNA consists of two chains of polynucleotides, with each chain forming a helix, so like a spiral staircase. So we have this double helix. Now, in DNA and RNA, there are 4 of 5 possible bases. Okay, if you look at them now, as I said, there's two types. You've got purines and you've got pyrimidines. The purines are adenine and guanine, and notice they're a pentagon and a hexagon, and then your pyrimidines are just a hexagon. Okay, so the two types of base are purines and pyrimidines. Now in DNA it's adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine, as I said before, and we usually just call it A, G, C and T for short. What happens in the RNA is that the T base, the thymine, gets replaced with a very, very similar U base, which is uracil. If you look at the two, there's very, very little difference between thymine and uracil. But when the DNA, when transcription takes place, then the thymine becomes a uracil. Okay, so RNA is actually made up of A, G, C, and U. Yes? Whereas DNA is A, G, C, and T. This may help to remember it. I saw this on a video, I thought it was quite clever. Pure as gold, cut the pie. What's that then? Well, purines, adenine and guanine, pure as gold. Cut the pie. So cytosine, uracil and thymine are the pyrimidines. That might help you to remember it. Pure as gold, cut the pie. Okay, so this is the structure of DNA. I talked a bit about this in the last video. So we have a sugar phosphate backbone. So the backbone on this diagram, it's the blue and the little purple blobs are your phosphates, and then the blue is the sugar. So you've got your sugar phosphate backbones, and then joining onto that you've got your bases. And in DNA, you've got your 4 types of base, which is A, T, and G, and C. A and T always bond together. Yeah, so it's a purine and a pyrimidine. And then G and C always bond together. And again, that would be a purine and a pyrimidine. It might be AT, or it might be TA, it might be GC, or it might be CG. And the bases are joined to the sugar phosphate backbones, and then the bases joined together with hydrogen bonds. And then the 2 strands, which actually, if you look at the diagram, are traveling in opposite directions, but the 2 strands twist around each other to form a double helix, the famous double helix. These, just out of interest, you don't need to know, there's a fantastic BBC program called Life Story, which dramatizes the discovery of DNA. James Watson and Francis Crick credited with it, along with Rosalind Franklin. Now, those 2 blokes got the Nobel Prize. Sadly, Rosalind Franklin died of cancer, and because of that, you can't give the Nobel Prize to a dead person. So she would certainly have shared the Nobel Prize. She did lots of amazing images of DNA using X-rays, which led to the discovery of the structure of DNA.